Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be talking about the light snow chance for the rest of today and talk about the next snow chance coming in Thursday night into Friday. We're also going to have an update on that major winter storm that could impact parts of the Ohio Valley Sunday into Monday. So let's first get started with visible satellite imagery out there. It's been a mostly cloudy day out there. Got a few peaks of sunshine starting to show up in western Kentucky. We even had some snow showers and snow flurries throughout the day, and even getting reports of a freezing drizzle out there as well, putting a light glaze on vehicles in Lexington. So we also got that ongoing for us, and I believe we even had maybe some very minor accumulations in the higher elevations of far south eastern Kentucky. It's also been a cold day out there as well. We got temperatures hovering around freezing across parts of central and northern Kentucky. Western Kentucky is currently in the mid 30s, but with that sun starting to come out, we do have a 40-degree reading out of Ballard County. And then, meanwhile, in eastern Kentucky, temperatures in some areas starting to cool off as those snow showers, snow flurries come on through in the higher elevations of far southeastern Kentucky. Pretty cold in the 20s out there. So let's check out the HRRR. This is the 12Z run of the HRRR model. You can see those snow flurries, snow showers continuing in eastern Kentucky, maybe even a light drizzle being mixed in there. And then there could be another round of some snow flurries, maybe some snow showers later this evening here. HRRR model might be a little too enthusiastic with it once again. That's been proven today, as you've heard me say yesterday. HRRR model tends to be too enthusiastic on these northwest flow snows, especially at that range of the model. That has came true once again on this setup here. And then we kind of take a break here for your Thursday, and then we pay attention to our next Clipper system off to our northwest. Could be a band of maybe some light to moderate snow up towards Iowa, Illinois, eventually entering parts of Missouri and Indiana. And then when it gets here to Kentucky here late tomorrow night into Friday morning, it's got a band of some moderate snow across parts of central Kentucky moving into eastern Kentucky. Now if that comes true, we can get some light coatings out there, maybe a half an inch of snow, primarily on grassy and elevated surfaces. I don't really expect any issues on the roads for your Friday morning out there. And it even shows maybe a mix of some rain, maybe even a little sleet across parts of southern Kentucky where it's a little bit warmer. Here's a high-res NAM. Let's see if we can get another opinion. Light flurries out there for the rest of the day. Here comes that next Clipper system. You can see here Friday morning, not as enthusiastic. I guess you could say maybe even focused a little bit farther to the east with this snow here. But even with that, could still talk about some light accumulations, mainly on grassy elevated surfaces, mainly across, I want to say, northern and eastern Kentucky. Maybe even parts of the Bluegrass region could get some light accumulations as well. And when we're talking about light accumulations, very light, coating to maybe a half an inch at best out there, which we can look into the Kuchera ratio from the high-res NAM. You can see it's not all that impressive. It's got areas a little over an inch, but I think that could be a little bit overdone. But the best chance for accumulations, though, will probably be in the higher elevations of far southeastern Kentucky once again, which does show a couple of inches up there. So let's talk about the big storm. That's something that everybody is talking about, and there's some concerns out there, and rightfully so. This is the European model, the 12Z run. This is for Sunday morning here. Our surface low is way back towards Kansas and Oklahoma, and even way back there, you can see all that wintry precipitation out there. And even though the low pressure system is far away, we got some wintry precipitation happening across parts of western Kentucky by Sunday morning, a mix of snow, sleet, and a little bit of freezing rain. And you're going to see that coverage become more widespread as you get into Sunday afternoon. Some very heavy snow across central and northern Kentucky. And then here comes your transition line, sleet and freezing rain out there. And then you can also see across parts of southern and western Kentucky, it's rain. And here comes that surface low, 1,000 millibar low, moving across northern Arkansas. And this is getting into Sunday evening, and that's when the low pressure system arrives into western Kentucky. Still got a lot of snow, and you can see a rather massive snow shield stretching from central Missouri and arcing back towards the mid-Atlantic. The snow shield is massive, and that's because there's a ton of cold air to work with the system. There is no shortage of cold air on the north side of this system whatsoever. And then, meanwhile, here in Kentucky, if European model is correct, might be dealing with an ice storm out here. Even across parts of southern Indiana and southern Illinois could be dealing with that as well. Worst case scenario for some of us here. Periods of freezing rain. Could be heavy at times. Now, if we end up seeing heavy freezing rain out of this setup, that's actually not as bad as you think it is. Anytime when we get heavy freezing rain, it doesn't accumulate nearly as good as you get with light to moderate freezing rain. All that rain just goes off the limbs and washes away just like normal rain. But if we end up getting light to moderate freezing rain, then that's going to be a problem right there. And you can see that low continues to track across Kentucky. A little bit of a stronger low compared to its previous runs, and even comparing to other models. This is a little bit of a stronger low here. But that low pressure moves into West Virginia by Monday morning, and by that time, everybody should be transitioning back over to snow. So that's the European model. Let's check out the American model, the GFS. If you guys remember from yesterday, it was much farther south. Well, now it's much closer to the European model. Still a weaker system, and it's also slower. This is Sunday afternoon. Very heavy snow on the leading edge of this precipitation shield. Some very heavy snow out there, and you can also see here freezing rain and sleet ongoing in western Kentucky, and our low pressure system still way back to the west. It's backed up towards northeastern Oklahoma. And as we continue to play this here, you can see our low pressure system now. I know it says it's down in northern Mississippi, but in reality, it's up here. But still a weaker system here. And you can see here, some of us have been dealing with heavy snow, transitions over to sleet or freezing rain, and we kind of stay that way for a while. And meanwhile, across southern Kentucky, it's just plain old rain. It's really all it is. And then far northern Kentucky still sticks around in that snow up there. And then by Monday morning, it's still trying to exit out. Still trying to exit out Kentucky, and eventually, when it exits Kentucky by Monday afternoon, everybody should be transitioned over to snow by that point. We'll have snow flurries and snow showers, most likely, behind that departing system. What about the Canadian model? What does it show? Well, spoiler alert, pretty much the same thing, really. Start off as snow, transition to sleet or freezing rain. Shows a little more sleet than freezing rain compared to the other models here. This is for Sunday night. It's got a 1,001 millibar low over Bowling Green. Very heavy snow far north of Kentucky, especially up towards Cincinnati. Meanwhile, a lot of freezing rain out there, and that's something we do not want at all. And then that low there X's out eastern Kentucky by Monday morning, and then by that point everybody should be transitioning over to snow. And then one more model, the Icon, and once again pretty much the same thing. A little bit farther south with the low pressure system track, mainly tracks down across Tennessee here. Now in this scenario here, more of a west to east track, probably arguably be the worst case scenario, because you'd be in that freezing rain for a longer duration here. And for folks in far northern Kentucky, you may be able to stay snow throughout the entire event if this is correct. Anyway, nothing's set in stone yet. with this. But you can also see here some heavy freezing rain, and if that's the case, then that freezing rate won't accumulate as much as what the models actually think here. But then again, still a lot of snow on the north side of that system there. There is plenty of cold air still to work with the system here. I want to come back here. The main reason why we're going to see this ice and sleet occur with this system, it's because there's going to be a high pressure system. It's off the screen here, but there's going to be a high pressure system off to the northeast. That's going to keep all the cold air settled to the north and northeast of the system here. And at the same time, with this low pressure system, it's going to have a warm nose that comes along with it. That warm air overrides that colder air that's at the surface, and when it happens, you get different precipitation types. That's how you get sleet and freezing rain here. And you'll be stuck with that type of stuff until your surface air temperature gets above freezing. And when it gets above freezing, then that's when you should transition to all of rain, which we'll get in more into that detail when we get closer to the system there. But there's some weather knowledge for you guys out there. Let's check out the ensembles. GFS ensembles, pretty close to what most of the models say. Has that low tracking across Kentucky, but there's still quite a spread in the models. It goes as far north in Kentucky or southern Ohio, all the way back down to Mississippi. Now, in my personal opinion, I think the members farthest to the south are probably going to be outliers. At least at this point here, there's not much support for storm systems to track that far south. Now, if that's the case, then we can be all snow. But I don't think that's going to be the case with this system here. I see it more going, maybe trend a little more to the north than south with this system. But we'll see about that. Here's the European ensembles, and the agreement's much better than the GFS ensembles. And most of the members take it right over Kentucky, which unfortunately will give us all modes of precipitation and might get a little more rain across southern Kentucky than anything, considering that some of these model members here are actually showing a stronger surface slope, just like the European models. So the European ensembles agree more towards the European in terms of the intensity of the system, which the intensity of the system is going to matter too. And for folks watching from Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, a stronger storm system can mean more snow on the north side, better deformation bands. You get more moisture, it gets pumped up into the cold sector. You can get more snow out of it out there as well. And speaking of snow, let's talk about snowfall from the ensembles. And don't pay too much attention to the numbers. But you can see here the greatest concentration here of the heaviest snow is north of Kentucky. It stays up in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, back towards Missouri. Now, I know I just said earlier, don't pay too much attention to the numbers. Let me take that back because there's something else that's going to be important to mention. This is a 10-to-1 ratio. Now, 10-to-1 ratio is basically what it is if you get 1 inch of rain, that's 10 inches of snow. And that's pretty much the main standard for, snowstorms. Now, in this setup, we're going to have more colder air to work with, which means the ratio is going to be higher. So instead of a normal 10-to-1 ratio, it's probably going to be closer to 13-to-1 or 15-to-1 ratio, which means that these numbers here are going to be too low. So as an example here, Indianapolis, 7 inches. Well, if it's using the fixed ratio, or also known as the Cachera ratio, it might be closer to 9 inches. Or back towards St. Louis, where the mean is 9 inches. It might be closer to almost a foot as a mean, which that would be a pretty impressive mean from the ensemble. But either way, there's going to be a lot of snow with this system, and it will bring some significant snowfall amounts on the snow side of this system here. Meanwhile, down here in Kentucky, kind of a similar thing that I was saying for about the north here. Some of these numbers are probably going to be too low. Like for Lexington, it's 4 inches, but using a Cachera ratio, it might be closer to 6. So But either way, though, there's going to be a lot of snow with this system here. And even though some of us in Kentucky here, that where we start off with snow, we can still get a lot of snow out of it. There's still potential for us to get a good amount of snow, even if we transition to freezing rain or sleet. But, of course, that could change. Let's check out the Canadian Ensembles. This is actually the newest run of the Canadian Ensembles. It's actually maybe a little bit farther south compared to the GFS Ensembles here. It's actually got some of the higher numbers, getting a little bit deeper into Kentucky. As a mean up there, up in Cincinnati, it's almost 9 inches for a mean. And once again, 10-to-1 ratio. That means these numbers here are probably underdone out there. But you can see where the greatest confidence there of the winter storm side of this system here is going to go out there. But generally staying north of Kentucky. And then here's the European Ensembles. Now, I don't have access to the 10-to-1 ratio, but I do have access to the snow depth. Notably, maybe a tad bit to the south here. A little bit deeper into northern Kentucky here. It's got the greatest concentration of the heaviest snow potential a little bit farther to the south here. That's actually not a good circle. Let me do a little bit better job on that. Yeah, like that. A little bit farther south on the European Ensembles here. But either way, though, most of the models are similar. And really the bottom line with this system here is that there's going to be a big snowstorm out there. We can guarantee that at this point. The agreement's very strong on the ensembles and the other medium range guidance models as well, and there's also going to be potential for an ice storm, unfortunately. And exactly where the highest amount's going to be, either for the snow and for the ice, is right now to be determined. And we'll talk a little bit more about the uncertainty here in a minute. This is the Weather Prediction Center's winter weather outlook for our system here. And you can see they actually got the highest probabilities, notably a little bit farther south compared to the models here. 70 to 90% chance in the lightest shade of blue. Darkest shade of blue is 50 to 70. Dark green, 30 to 50. And then the lightest shade of green is 10 to 30% chance. And this is the probability of getting basically at least a quarter of an inch equivalent of sleet and snow. So it does not include ice or freezing rain. It's just snow and sleet. Notably a little bit farther south here, but I imagine on the next update here we're probably going to see some reds start to show up, but I would suspect this would expand a little bit more to the north, or maybe even move it towards the north. This is a little bit south compared to what the models have to say. And then speaking of, uncertainties, like I was talking about earlier, where's our storm system right now, the time I'm making this video? So this is for when it arrives. Our storm is right here. And if we track it back of where it is today, you can see it arrives in the Pacific Northwest on Friday. It's still way out there in the Pacific. It's definitely closer. Yesterday it was more up here. Today it's right here. So it's still way out there. We don't have reliable weather data with the system. Still, it won't arrive on shore in the Pacific Northwest until Friday or Friday night. When it arrives on shore Friday or Friday night, that's when we can get weather balloons up in there. We can get weather data to sample the storm, and when that weather data gets into the weather models, that's when they can have a much more accurate picture for the storm evolution, the track. And that's when we can get into Pacifics and actually start to put out forecast numbers, the forecast for snow and also the ice potential as well. Could it trend weaker? Could it trend stronger? Could it shift to the south? Could it trend to the north? No one really knows right now. No one really knows that. We won't find that out until Friday night and especially Saturday here. So until then, it is still something to watch. People, should be keeping a close eye on the forecast as we get closer, because confidence is high that this is going to be a very impactful storm for the Ohio Valley, whether if it's snow or ice. It's looking to be a pretty impactful storm. But anyway, guys, this is all got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoy this weather update. If you guys like this video, hit the like button. If you really like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys get any questions, you can put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. And I'll see you guys on next video. Goodbye and have a good day.